records to slaying vampires. On this episode of Revealed, Sarah will set the record straight about her unusual childhood, her strained relationship with Susan Lucci, and her very own prince. Sarah Michelle Gellar is about to be revealed.
We didn't have the greatest relationship. I don't believe ambition or drive. I don't believe they're bad words. A debacle of epic proportions.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer made Sarah Michelle Gellar a household name, but Sarah was already an accomplished actress before she sunk her teeth into Buffy. In the next hour, you'll hear about her personal journey, her professional triumphs, and those moments that still make Sarah cringe.
This better not be embarrassing.
Oh, don't worry, Sarah. I had them put a non-embarrassing clause in my contract.
Hey, why didn't I think of that?
I had no idea you'd been doing this long.
So I was 4 years old.
Now, how did all of it start?
One of those stories, like the Schwab's drugstore story. I was 4 years old, and I was at this like cabaret type show for kids, and this woman came up to me and said, "Do you want to be on TV?" And I said, "Sure. My name is Sarah Michelle Gellar. I live at," and I gave her my address and my phone number. I was proud. I literally just learned it.
You slated yourself.
Yeah, literally. I mean, I did. I literally only just learned my phone number. But I was 3 and a half or however old I was, and about a week later, my mother got this phone call, and just turned to me, "What did you do?" "Oh, this nice lady wants me to be in movies." My mom's thinking it's like the biggest joke, and I met with her, and that's it. I started working. I did my first movie about like 2 months later.
What did your mom think of it when it all started?
I think she thought it was a fluke. I think it wasn't something she invested a lot in. It certainly was a great way. You know, she was a single mom raising a child in New York City, and obviously financially that's incredibly difficult and incredible strain. So even just a little bit of modeling here and there would be great for my education. And she thought, well, if Sarah has fun and it works, then let's try it. And that's pretty much what it was when I was younger.
An only child, Sarah was 7 when her parents divorced. She doesn't talk about her father, who passed away in 2001, but she's happy to talk about what those early acting gigs meant to her.
I read you had done 100 commercials.
I've done over 100 commercials. It paid for my New York School private education.
A very, very big message for grown-ups.
Do I look 20% smaller to you? I must to McDonald's. When I order a regular burger at McDonald's, they make it with 20% less meat than Burger King. Unbelievable.
It was the first time that another advertising company had ever used another company's name in a commercial. We take for granted now, you know, Wendy's says Burger King, or this one says that one, Bounty says, you know, whatever it is. They didn't do that then. So I was 5 years old, and I was doing a Burger King commercial, and I mentioned McDonald's, and it was unheard of at the time. So McDonald's turned around and sued not only Burger King, they sued the advertising company, J. Walter Thompson, and they sued me at 5 years old.
Did you realize, though, at 5 I'm being sued?
No, I had no clue. I mean, I remember that, you know, all kids had their birthday parties at McDonald's play places, I think they were called. And so I remember, like, not being allowed to go at first because, God forbid, someone, and then my mother turned around and said to these people, I don't think that people who work at corporate McDonald's are really in the stores. I think it's okay.
Luckily, I know a perfect way to show McDonald's how I feel. I go to Burger King.
Eventually, the lawsuit was dropped.
And I did, let's see, there's a commercial I did with Seth Green.
I think we did a couple commercials together, and I may be making that up, but I know we did this one. It was a cookie ad.
It was a Duncan Hines commercial. So we love to bring that one out and scare each other.
How'd they make them so homemade tasting?
We're so little, and it's a play on the Maltese Falcon. Yeah, those people at Duncan Hines, always thinking.
I bet they just captured a mom and made her give them the recipe.
Sarah and Seth eventually reconnected on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
The young kids are all, you're either a professional or your parents have you in it, you know? And she and I were both driven by ourselves. It was like, your parents are on the outside, and you just know this is what I want to do. This is something I seem to have an affinity for.
You worked in the theater in New York.
I did a lot of Broadway. I did Horton Foote with Matthew Broderick and Eric Stoltz. We did The Widow Clare. Now, I was about 9 years old, and I was in a play with Ferris. So I was the most popular person in my class. And then, right when Eric took over, Some Kind of Wonderful came out. It was a great couple of years for me. And I have the distinction of being in the only Neil Simon Broadway show ever to close out of town. The only one.
The show was Jake's Women, with Stockard Channing, Peter Coyote, and Joyce Van Patten. After a trial run in San Diego, the cast was looking forward to Broadway.
And Peter Coyote got a call from the New York Times. It was really early in the morning saying, "What's your comment on the fact that Neil closed the show?" And that's how we all found out. It was pretty devastating.
And how old were you at the time?
I was about 13, which is a really hard age, and I had left school for 6 months and then all of a sudden had to, come right back in, and it was pretty difficult. And then about a year and a half later, Neil decided to do the show again. And at that point I thought, well, it's all I want to do. That's my show. I started that. And I was too old. Which was the first time that I faced being too old.
Over the hill at 14.
Over the hill at 14.
When we return, a little girl talk.
That means no boys allowed. Abso-positively not.
And later, slaying vampires isn't as easy as it looks.
I broke down in tears and I said, I can't do this.